Zack Polanski says that women can have a penis. Zack, no, that's biologically inaccurate, isn't it, my darling? Though I would argue that I have a bigger set of balls than you will ever have.
Breaking today, Zack Polanski, otherwise known as the Tit Whisperer. Because remember, in his life before being the Green Party leader, he claimed that he could increase the size of a woman's breast through hypnotherapy. So this is a toothless man, quite literally, a really dodgy man, but also one of Britain's most dangerous men, given the extraordinarily left-wing pro-Islam agenda he is trying to introduce as mainstream into British politics through the regenerated Green Party. So given all of that, I love to see this guy exposed. I love to see this guy exposed as the crank that he is. And that is what has happened overnight. Not just in his confrontation with Zia Youssef on the BBC's Question Time, but more interestingly, in his clash with Piers Morgan on the YouTube show Uncensored, where he not only stood by his ludicrous anti-scientific claim, although science is definitely not something this guy believes in, that a woman can have a penis, but went one step further, suggesting that none of us are born into any particular sex. Watch this extraordinary confrontation, then I'll show you what Katie Hopkins had to say.
Can a woman have a penis?
Yes. It's going to take them a long time on the National Health Service to get rid of it, but that's another separate problem.
All right. I think we'll leave it on a woman can have a penis. People can
I think you're lacking nuance and complexity about a pretty complicated
Not really. You couldn't have been clearer.
I'm clear, because actually when you want to look at the science...
You were crystal clear. Ask a simple question.
But you're laughing at it, which I think demeans trans people.
Absolutely ridiculous.
What have you got against trans people? Why are you punching down? Why are you not saying
nothing against
the real
trans
problem
people.
in this
I've already
country?
told you that I think trans people...
You sound like you have a huge problem with trans people.
No. It sounds to me like you don't understand what a woman is, which I think is a huge problem for someone leading a party in this country.
A woman is a gender.
Sorry?
You said, what's a woman?
No,
a woman is a gender.
Biological
and gender
female.
is complicated.
No.
Gender is a spectrum.
It's not complicated. A woman is a biological
gender a spectrum? Is it that binary?
Do you think people are born male and female?
Not necessarily.
Oh, for God's sake.
I think it's more complicated than that.
It's not more complicated, Zack.
Well, it's not more complicated than that if you're a TV show host who wants to make it binary and ridiculous.
Zack, you're going to have to work
actually, if you want to have a
out,
nuanced conversation that actually reflects science
when I asked you if you
and
want
information...
when I asked you if you want to be Prime Minister, there is not a cat in hell's chance of you ever becoming Prime Minister if you don't know what a woman is.
Well, you'll see us going up in the polls. We're the most favourable party in London right now, so let's see about that.
Why do you start going out tomorrow with your big campaign that women can have penises?
I'm going to be going out tomorrow with my big campaign about inequality in this country between the multimillionaires and billionaires and working class communities who are really suffering.
When people see you say to me, women have a penis,
well, because you're trying to distract from inequality, and actually I think most people don't care about the conversation.
If you want to be Prime Minister,
they just care about the fact they want to put food on the table.
You are a fast emerging
trans people.
You are a fast emerging politician in this country. I'm perfectly entitled to ask you what you believe.
You're absolutely entitled. And people are entitled to see the ludicrousness of these questions rather than tackling the inequality and the fact we're not funding our National Health Service, the fact we've got schools crumbling, the fact that people are struggling to put food on the table. That's what people are worried about, not trans people.
OK. Actually, they're worried about women's rights.
I'm worried about women's rights too, but as I said, I offered several times to talk about the police force. I offered several times to talk about the inequality pay gap.
You want to talk about other things, I get that.
I want to talk about women's rights. Let's have a conversation about women's rights, but let's not talk about trans women specifically.
You think women have penises?
You had said to me, can a woman have a penis?
Yeah.
And I said yes. So if they're transitioning, for instance, then of course a woman can have a penis.
It's complete bullshit.
When were you a doctor or an expert in women's rights
or
science?
The UK Supreme Court has made it crystal clear.
But that's not the Supreme Court's job. The Supreme Court's job is to look at legislation and then make a legal ruling.
OK. So you know more than the Supreme Court?
Well, yes, actually, in this case, yes, I do.
So this man is mental, OK? But we know he was mental because back in 2013... he was selling his hypnotherapy on Harley Street to women, saying that it could increase the size of their bosom without going under the knife. So we know that this guy is mental. We know he's a charlatan, actually, as well. But he's also dangerous. Perhaps, though, Katie Hopkins' approach is best. Watch. If you're enjoying what we're doing here on Outspoken, please consider joining our thriving community over on Substack, www.outspoken.live. You can sign up completely for free, but Substack is so important to me. It is a free speech platform. It protects me from big tech cancellation. Plus, you get to communicate directly with me. Head on over www.outspoken.live, enter your email address, and sign up today.
In other news, Zack Polanski says that women can have a penis. Zack, no, that's biologically inaccurate, isn't it, my darling? Though I would argue that I have a bigger set of balls than you will ever have.
Well, I think that is absolutely true. To my superstar panel, Bernie Spofford of If This Is True, and Nathan King. Look, this guy, Nathan, is clearly a joke figure on so many levels. His whole life is a joke. Right? I mean, the fact that his career was trying to trick women into this very expensive hypnotherapy so that it could increase the size of their boobs. I mean, he's a joke-like figure. But what is actually happening with the Green Party, though, and its push towards hard left extremism, a pro-Islam agenda for the UK, is dangerous. So in some ways, I think this interview with Piers Morgan is really important because what it does is it shows this is a madman, right? This is not someone who should be taken seriously on anything.
Yeah, the man's fruitcake, I think, is firstly, I'll say that. Secondly, he is dangerous, and you're absolutely right, he is, because this unholy alliance that they've somehow manufactured between themselves and the Muslim vote, I am appalled by it, and I cannot get my head around it. He is. To not answer that, do you know what? I'll give him he answered the question, because I was moaning about Ed Davey the other week. He didn't answer the question, scuttered round it. Okay, and I said about that, I said, give us a straight answer. Tell us no, and then at least we'll know you're sane, or say yes, and then I respect you for giving an answer, but clearly you're absolutely off your rocker. I think the thing is, I've been saying recently about the whole trans debate that it is a mental illness, and clearly Zack Polanski, I don't want to diagnose here, but clearly he is not far off that, because to believe that a woman, it's almost laughable, and I'm trying to find the words for it, but it is almost laughable, and the support that he has is extremely concerning. That they are doing well in the polls. I completely get that. That's a sad reflection on where we are as a society. On the left side of politics, and as well as that, if the best the left have to offer is a man who can enlarge breasts by the power of the mind or whatever nonsense he spouts, and also says that a woman can have a penis, well, should we be that concerned? I'm not too sure.
But I mean, Nathan, this is a really serious thing, though, where you are criticised for talking about biological realities, because you've experienced this just in the past week. Look at this Pink News, which I think is a ludicrously hard left, insane publication, which should be ignored. And by the way, as a gay man, it doesn't represent me at all. But look at this. Ex-Big Brother contestant stands by anti-trans comments about current housemate despite backlash. And you responded, actually, so you owned this. And this is what I think more and more of us have to do. And I'm so glad you did it. You responded by saying, damn right, I stand by my pro-reality comments. It's not anti-trans, is it? It's pro-reality. But first, the number one worst fruit for your waistline. Look, are you turning healthy fruits into highly unhealthy fruits without even realizing it? Fruit can be one of the healthiest things you can put into your body. But the majority of Americans are guilty of making this single mistake that can counteract all of the health benefits of fruit. Some fruits can help with occasional constipation, reduce bloating, and even help burn calories. Others can wreak havoc on your digestive system and energy levels. Now, I came across this viral presentation from world-renowned heart surgeon Dr. Stephen Gundry that showcases the 3 fruits to stop eating today. It was shocking. I had no idea. And after finding it out, I've stopped eating these 2. I'm going to put a link for you all to watch it because I want you all to gain this information. I think it's truly important, actually. You can go watch it right now at thehealthyfat.com/outspoken. That's thehealthyfat.com/outspoken. I've also linked it in the description box below this video too, or if you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, you can just click on the QR code on screen or hold up your phone, to the QR code, you know how it works. Oh, and by the way, eliminating these fruits could forever change the way we help increase energy levels, decrease brain fog, support digestion, and even lose weight. So make sure to click on the link below or go to thehealthyfat.com/outspoken to find out now. Dr. Gundry has lost 70 pounds himself using his research and has kept the weight off for over 20 years and counting. His digestive issues are gone. His health is fantastic. He feels younger today than he did in his 40s. His video has been watched by over 20 million people to date. You can watch and learn more about it at thehealthyfat.com/outspoken. Just click on the link in the description box below this video. But now, back to the show.
Absolutely. And I think I had death threats following that. I had the most vile abuse from the Be Kind Brigade that you can imagine, which I think you might have experienced similar. Everyone that is reasonably...
And I think Bernie has too.
Anyone that's vocal on the right has experienced the Be Kind Brigade not being very kind. And I think the thing is, we do have to stand by. I will, anything that comes out of my mouth, I will own. And I will say, yeah, I'll stand by it. Despite any sort of backlash, and they say backlash, some comments from some deranged people who think that what I said was somehow too direct. Well, so what, I have to fluff it up for you just in case it hurts your feelings? No, I say, and I think it's maybe a Scottish thing, we just say it as it is. We don't bullshit, we don't fluff it up for anyone. We just say it exactly how it is, and it's true. And I think that, yeah, just stand up to these people, and I think more people should do the same, and hopefully they'll just go away.
Yeah. So, Bernie, where do you stand on Zack Polanski? Because, I mean, it's not just his comments about women that are nuts. I mean, just this week, and actually on Question Time, where he had a pretty intense battle with Zia Youssef of Reform UK, he's actually going as far as calling Nigel Farage a fascist, comparing Reform UK to the Nazis. Now, this is where I think things get really dangerous, Bernie, because that is importing the politically violent language that led to the assassination of Charlie Kirk into the United Kingdom.
And I think we have to be careful here, because he has come out, the Green Party has come out with, they want to be the party of hope that says nice things. But they only say nice things about people who agree with them. And it's very, very dangerous to stand on a platform, even a minority platform. Everyone knows the Green Party aren't going to get in, right? Even on their Islamic stance, because there are so many independent MPs now that will probably scoop up these votes. And of course, you've got Matt Corbyn over the other side that will scoop up more. So he's trying to keep relevance. And in order to do that, he's really, really polarizing at the end of minority politics. It is wrong to call anybody a fascist. In fact, it's my experience that the people calling fascism are the ones that are the closer to fascism, right? But if you're going to even discuss the Green Party, then you need to look at some of their policies, because it's insane. And there's no point even crediting them with airtime. He wants universal basic income paid for by the 1% ultra wealthy in this country. Well, if you look at the ultra wealthy in this country, you'd probably pull in 10 to 15 billion pounds per year maximum. That won't go anywhere near universal basic income, right? He backs as many migrants as possible. Their policies are refugees welcome, but at the same time, he wants harsher net zero laws. He doesn't want digital ID, but he does want control on free speech. He doesn't want digital ID, but he supported vaccine passports as long as you could prove someone didn't have COVID. And he wore a mask after masks were no longer valid, because that's the kind of science he follows. And I think that's fine. You can say and be whatever you like. I massively support you. I've got no problem with that. But they are an irrelevance I just think they're irrelevant, and the more airtime they get, the more damaging it is. In fact, all mainstream parties should just leave them alone, because that kind of rhetoric is really dangerous.
The problem is the BBC's given him a massive platform. You know, he was on Question Time last night, and this is the type of coverage that the mainstream media were giving to it. So Metro went with the headline, Zack Polanski grills Reform UK's Zia Yusuf over parties' links to Putin. Well, indeed, I actually watched the segment, Bernie. What I saw happen was Zia Yusuf completely expose Zack Polanski over his very dodgy past. And surely it's relevant in this context, Bernie. I mean, this is a guy who, as his job, appeared to be tricking women into believing that his brand of hypnotherapy, which would have been very expensive given he was based on Harley Street, could increase the size of their breasts. And Bernie, this was not like a joke. Like the media seemed to make this a big joke, but it was actually the reason he was exposed is because there was an undercover investigation by the Sun newspaper into what he was doing. The undercover journalist approached him, posing as a client interested in using hypnotherapy to increase her breast size and boost her self-confidence. And Polanski went along with it. He endorsed, according to The Sun, hypnotic breast enhancement as a safe and affordable alternative to cosmetic surgery, quoting him as saying it could help women feel more confident without implants.
But that's not what he says. That's not what he says. And, do you know, I'm so useless, right? Because I have to listen to everybody's side. What he says, and don't forget, he's trained as an actor. He's trained as an entertainer. He's trying to make a living. He then went on and qualified as a hypnotherapist. And what he was essentially doing was giving women a better body image about themselves. I obviously don't know if those women had a penis. Anyway, back to the story. And he was particularly talking about ballet dancers, and he was approached by The Sun to see if he could do this experiment for them, which he says he did, and he was trapped into. So, and I can understand that, how that would happen. And so can you, having had lots of experience with the mainstream media, right? They'll twist anything they can. What I would say about him is he is obviously an excellent communicator. And that is very difficult for those people who are easily persuaded or latch onto a minority type of, cause. And that's what he appears to be doing for me. But I don't even care. I don't care. Unless you can make the maths add up, you are valueless to me. So he can talk all he likes about women with penises. He can talk all he likes about making your boobs grow, although, he probably was talking about body esteem. It doesn't matter to me, Dan, because they're over before they've even started. We are bankrupt and they can't help us. That's it, really.
Well, I hope you're right. But one thing I can certainly say is that Zack Polanski is the most morally bankrupt man in British politics. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.